Okay.
All right, Ted. So, how are you doing today?
I'm well.
Well, good, good. So first off, I'm going to need to do some basic disclosure statements,
Okay.
confidentiality. First off, I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Charity Gillespie, and I obtained my Master's of Arts in Counseling from Colorado Christian University. I'm a registered therapist, psychotherapist, and I'm currently getting my supervision hours through an LPC. So shortly I will have my license.
Okay.
I would like to hand one of these to you so we can go over it together.
Okay.
So I went over my name, my address, my credentials,
Okay.
and then I'll go ahead and read each bullet point, and then we can summarize it together to make sure that it makes sense. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Okay, so bullet point number 3, right there.
Okay.
The practice of licensed or registered persons in the field of psychotherapy is regulated by the Mental Health Licensing section of the Division of Registrations, the Board of Registered Psychotherapist Examiners. Can be reached at, and then it gives you the address. So if you have any questions about that, you can go ahead and contact them by phone or send them a letter, that sort of thing. As to the regulatory requirements applicable to mental health professionals, the first one I currently hold is a registered psychotherapist is a psychotherapist listed in the state's database and is authorized by law to practice psychotherapy in Colorado, but is not licensed by the state and is not required to satisfy any standardized educational or testing requirements to obtain a registration from the state. So currently, I'm not licensed by the state, but I will shortly. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the second one is certified addiction counselor. Number 1 must hold a high school graduate, or must be a high school graduate. Complete required training hours of 1,000 hours of supervised experience. The second one is the same, but 2,000 hours of supervised experience. The third one, actually you must have a bachelor's degree in order to be a certified addiction counselor, number 3. And then for licensed addiction counselor, you have to have a master's degree and meet the CAC number 3 requirements. As a licensed social worker, you must hold a master's degree in social work to practice. As a psychologist candidate, a marriage and family therapist candidate, and a licensed professional counselor candidate, you must hold the necessary licensing degree and be in the process of completing the required supervision for licensure. For the clinical social worker and the licensed marriage and family therapist and the licensed professional counselor, you must hold a master's degree in their profession and have 2 years of post-master's supervision, which is currently what I'm working on. A licensed psychologist must hold a doctorate degree in psychology and have 1 year of postdoctoral supervision. Does all this make sense to you? Mm-hmm. So if you have any questions about what we go over in the counseling sessions, please feel free to ask any questions.
Okay.
Number 4, you are entitled to receive information from your therapist about the methods of therapy, the techniques used, the duration of the therapy, and the fee structure. You can seek a second opinion from another therapist or terminate therapy at any time. So throughout this counseling, if I'm not a perfect fit for you, please feel free to try out other therapists and see if anything else works for you, because someone's going to be able to help you.
Okay.
Number 5, in a professional relationship, sexual intimacy is never appropriate and should be reported to the board that licenses, registers, or certifies the licensee, registrant, or certificate holder. So if you ever feel like it gets uncomfortable, also please let me know, so we can put that to a stop. Generally speaking, the information provided by and to the client during therapy sessions is legally confidential and cannot be released without the client's consent. So everything we discuss will be confidential and between you and me. There are exceptions to this confidentiality, some of which are listed in the section 1243 and 218 of the Colorado Revised Statutes, as well as other exceptions in Colorado and federal law. For example, mental health professionals are required to report suspected child abuse to authorities. That's just for just one example of the instances. If a legal exception arises during therapy, if feasible, you will be informed accordingly to the Mental Health Practice Act, which is available at the website listed. So what I'm going to have you do is sign off, since we went over this and you're aware of the role of a registered psychotherapist. And the statement says, I have read the preceding information. It has also been provided verbally, and I understand my rights as a client or as the client's responsible party.
Okay.
So if you agree and you feel that we've discussed this to an extent where you are willing to participate in the counseling, please write your name, your signature, and the date.
Okay. Do you want me to do that right now?
Sure.
Do you want me to sign both copies?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And you have a pen, right?
I signed it already.
Okay. Go ahead
Oh,
and
you want to
sign
send
this
the other?
one.
I'll just use that right there. It's
Okay.
the other one was with invisible ink.
Okay, great. And then one is for you to keep, so you can refer
Oh, I
back
see.
to it.
Okay. Great.
And you have all the information, the DORA website, the phone numbers. So if you have any questions about that, let me know.
Okay. Excellent.
So before we get started, would you like a glass of water, or
No thanks.
you're good?
I just left my water in the other room, so I'll do without.
Okay. Okay. So I went over your intake, and I guess I wanted to clarify some things
Okay.
on here.
Mhm.
But first off, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and what brings you to counseling?
Okay. Well, it's all on that form there. I recently quit my job
Okay.
because it's not what I want to do, and I'm going back to school.
Right.
Yeah, and which is kind of strange and unusual, and so all of these changes that are taking place, I'm just not real sure that I'm doing the right thing. I've already done it, but somebody said, well, you should have your head examined, and so I know it's funny, isn't it? So here I am, examine my head.
Okay. Well, you mentioned that you're kind of uncertain if this is what you should be doing.
Yeah, I'm not totally, I'm kind of unsure. I mean, at my stage in life, it's not the time to be incurring school loans or even investing in a new degree. But it's something I've always wanted to do, and I guess I'm not going forward with a lot of confidence that it's what I'm supposed to be doing, but I think it's okay. I talked it over with my wife, and she felt okay about it. My kids, they don't know what to think about it because they're in school. They kind of make fun of me about it, but it's kind of a fun topic when we all get around, but it's kind of at my expense. But I'm not totally sure that I'm not sure I'm confident that I'm doing the right thing. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, and it sounds like maybe some close people to you are playing a role in that lack of self-confidence. confidence.
Well, that's part of it. Yeah, that people, you know, my family and friends at work, I mean, they've really concerned. I mean, they're convinced that I am, you know, really done the wrong thing. Because I worked 28 years at the job that I was at. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just, you know, it got to a point where it was pointless. Why continue? Younger people were coming in and getting promoted above me, and, you know, I could just see the writing on the wall. I might as well jump into something that I want to do. I felt like it's better to be proactive about it than to tend to, you know, come and find out that I've been totally replaced as opposed to overlooked, which has been happening enough. So I jumped out and went back. And so now I'm kind of going back to what I should have done, well, 20 years ago. How crazy is that?
Oh, it's pretty exciting, right?
Well, in a way, it is.
It's a
I
new
mean,
change.
yeah, you know, it's exciting. It's not like it was 20 years ago where it was all about drinking beer and having fun, but there's none of that. There's no gratification in it at all. I just spending a lot of money and going to class. But yeah, it is exciting because I've always wanted to pursue this other course in life. Wish that I had 20 years ago. Yeah, just put this over here so I don't.
Did you?
Driving me crazy. Was it bothering you?
No, no.
It was bothering me.
Well, so let's go back to your work and
Okay.
how you were, I guess you said that other people were getting promoted over you.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about how that made you feel.
Well, it made me feel like I'm in the wrong place. I'm in the wrong place, and that I haven't kept up somehow. You know, and really, I think I probably knew 20 years ago it was the wrong place, but it just worked out okay. Financially, it was convenient, right? But I don't know, at a point I began to think, you know, this isn't, I'm in the wrong place and I never was supposed to be here. So that's how it made me feel. It made me feel out of place, like an anachronism, as the word is called, that you know, that I'm not where I should be.
And did you start feeling this later in the job, or was it right when you started, but you felt like you had to do it because of these financial?
Well, you know, at first, you know, 20 years ago, it's hard to remember, but 20 years ago it was all great, you know, we were making money and it was just nice to have a job.
Right.
But I think it, you know, at some point, it was just going through the motions. And that's not a recent thing, you know, for a lot of years. I've just been going through the motions, trying to fit into this mold of being an employee at the state of Colorado. Here I am. I do my work. And there's no point in continuing that, so I quit. It's kind of impulsive now that I think about it, but I quit and came to school.
And when you quit, how did that, I guess, make you feel at the time? Was it a relief feeling?
Yeah, it was. It was a relief. It was like, okay, I'm in charge. I'm the master of my destiny.
Right.
You know, it lasted for about a day.
But then what?
But
what
there was
overtook it?
there was a sense of, hey, I'm all right now. I'm gonna be, you know, going in a new direction. You know, I have enough money saved up to survive for a while, and so money's not a real concern as far as I'm concerned. My wife, she looks at it a little differently, but you know, we'll make it. And so, yeah, I felt really good. I felt like, you know, kind of like I was a 20-year-old kid again, doing what I want to do, when I want to do it. I like that.
Good feeling.
Yeah. And I still feel, you know, I still feel good about that, that, hey, you know, I'm free from this drudgery that I was in, and I'm pursuing things that I want to pursue, that I really needed to pursue.
So it was a good feeling, you said, for a day, but it seems like it's continued, and you did feel good about the choice, but yet in the beginning you said that you might struggle with some confidence.
Well, yeah. I still do some reconsidering, I guess. If maybe I was a little too impulsive, you know. Maybe I burned a bridge that I shouldn't have burned. You know, it might possibly be. I mean, it's possible that I should have maybe approached it a little bit differently. But so, I mean, that's what. You know, that's the big thing. I think about a person in my stage of life, and I'm kind of out there on my own.
So even though your family's supporting you, you still feel all alone in this decision?
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah, well, there's not anybody else my age who went to class.
So is that kind of a mental block you're having when you go to class? Do you feel that you shouldn't be? Maybe.
I kind of wonder because, you know, I have kids the same age as most of the students, and that's kind of odd. So, yeah. And of course, I guess there's no rules that says that it has to be a certain way, but you know, once again, I feel a little bit out of place. You know, I thought I was getting out of a situation where I was feeling out of place, and suddenly, you know, well, I'm still out of place. Maybe there is no place for me. And I guess that's the issue, isn't it?
So kind of just an identity issue. And is this something that you possibly have struggled throughout your whole life, or was it when you started work where you didn't fit in?
Well, I think I fit in okay at work, at one point. That, I mean, at some time, I just began to realize that I'm stuck in this little cubicle here on this floor, and other people are moving out of their cubicles, going to bigger and better places, and I wasn't. You know, but initially it was fine. But at some point, and it didn't bother me that people were getting promoted. I didn't like what I was doing anyway. You know what I mean? It's not like I had some big desire to continue at the state of Colorado.
So it sounds like your heart just wasn't in this profession.
That's exactly right. Heart wasn't in it. I don't think anybody can have a heart and work for the state of Colorado. That's really a joke. I don't mean that, but yeah, I didn't care. And yeah, that can't be good, can it?
Well, I guess that's one of the. I guess that's one of the things we're going to be searching for, is that answer.
Okay.
And just tell me a little bit more about your background, about your current symptoms. On here it says dizziness, joint pain.
Yeah, well, those, you know, there's part of that, I think, is just age. You know,
so you don't think it's caused from maybe this stress, this?
Well, it could be. Somebody has suggested that maybe some of the things that I'm feeling are stress related. And you know, waking up in the middle of the night in absolute terror is probably an indication, which I've done some. You know, I wake up and I'm just, my heart is racing, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness. But you know, I kind of calm down, you know, and start feeling better. But yeah, I think that there is stress, some evidence of stress and what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the stress of the job has been removed. So I'm thinking that it's probably the stress of this change, not having a job and going to school.
Mm-hmm.
I had forgotten how stressful school can be.
And so you said sleeping habits, you wake up and you just have a panic attack? Is that what you
Well,
said?
maybe that's what it is. A couple of times. I'm just, waking up and I'm, all tense and, frightened,
Mm-hmm.
which is an odd experience. And I guess you would call that maybe panic. I feel panicked when I wake up. I mean, I calm down, okay, but, that's happened just a couple of times, which,
And it's just happened since this transition in your life?
It is.
Okay.
And maybe it's just too many tacos before I go to bed. I don't know.
That could possibly be it. Do you remember what you're thinking, maybe dreaming before these panic attacks?
No, I can't. When I wake up like that, I don't really have, a lot of memory of a dream. I just, I think, a couple of times I've I've been yelling at somebody and wake up and I'm all, fight or flight, ready to punch somebody.
Really?
Or something. Yeah. But I mean, it's a feeling from that dream that it subsides after a while. And that's only happened a couple of times.
Okay. So after a while, as in 5 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, a
Yeah.
day?
Well, no, 20 minutes.
20
30
minutes? Okay.
Then I'm able to, go back to sleep, and rest okay. So those kind of things. And the dizziness, I don't know. That's a blood pressure thing. I take blood pressure medication, but I've just noticed that I'm having little bouts of dizziness that I haven't had before.
Okay.
Is somebody at the door?
Oh, I thought I heard a doorbell too.
I did too. Maybe it's my phone. No, it's not.
No, it's not your phone.
Okay.
Okay. We'll just ignore it for
I'm
now.
not going to be concerned with that.
Um,
So anyway, yeah, you were asking me about the dizziness, but it's just I've had these, sense of dizziness that I haven't had before,
Mhm.
and I don't know all that might be entailed, and I don't know what that all might mean.
It could be the stress, it could be something else.
It could be. It's just kind of a new thing.
And it happens periodically, or is it just after when you are stressed?
Well, I don't know. It's just happened a couple of times, since I quit my job and went back to school, that I'm suddenly, the room is moving.
Pretty scary feeling.
It is an uncomfortable feeling, yeah. It is, and it's alarming because I don't know, I don't know if there's a physiological reason for that.
Mhm.
And obviously, that there might be a point where I need to go to the, the medical doctor about that, but it's one of the things that have been happening, to me.
So you have seen a doctor about this and
A few years ago.
a few years ago.
Mhm.
And I should have asked this earlier, but how long ago did you make this transition? Was it recently?
Yes, 3 months ago.
3 months ago?
Mhm.
Okay. So you've been in school about 3 months?
Mhm.
I see.
Mhm.
Okay. I see that you are very good about exercise.
Have been,
Have been.
yeah. A couple of times a week.
Yeah.
Should do more.
Well, it's something, right?
It is. It is.
And is it a stress relief, or is it
It's just more of I have to do this.
like you force yourself to
Yes,
do
yes,
it?
yes. And I have a couple of friends that we walk. That's not a heavy exercise, but we walk, and so we kind of keep each other
Oh,
active. And
good.
at least it's something, right? It's
Yeah.
not the requisite 30 minutes a day, but it's better than nothing.
Right.
It's better
right.
than sitting in front of the TV
Mhm.
all day. So yeah, I'm regular at that.
Well, that's a good habit.
Yeah.
So it's a good feeling when you do it. Maybe not before when you're
Yeah,
motivating
yeah,
yourself,
yeah, oh,
but
yeah, it is.
afterwards.
It's positive. I feel, I think, well, hey, I've done the right thing.
Right.
I've done well, so I can go eat a cheeseburger.
Stop at McDonald's. And so, would you consider that a good stress relief for this? Maybe the stress you're
Yeah, I
going
think
through
so.
right now?
I think it probably helps to maintain it. I don't know if it diffuses all of the stress, but I
Right,
think
there's-
it is significant. I think I'd be worse off if I didn't do it. Let's
Okay.
put it that way.
Okay. So it's definitely plays a tremendous role or a little role in your stress.
Yes, it plays a role. I'm not sure if it's a lot or a little, but sure, yeah.
Okay. And is there anything else that's going on? Your eating habits, did you want to touch base on that or?
No, I have plenty of eating habits. No change.
Good
You know,
eating habits.
I could be sick and not lose my appetite. That's the biggest problem. It doesn't matter what happens, I eat.
Mhm. Good.
Maybe I eat for comfort, I don't know, but I eat. Never had a problem with that.
Okay, so that's never been an issue,
Not,
even.
well, not the loss of appetite. I've never experienced that.
Okay.
I don't know what that's like.
I see.
I don't think, but.
So you've always maintained a good eating habit.
Oh, yeah. Good as opposed to healthy. I don't know. But yeah, good. Yeah, I eat. Well, I really haven't noticed any change as far as my eating habits.
Okay.
It's just the same.
And then your drinking. Would you say it was more social drinking or
Well,
get crazy drinking?
Well, I mean, no, I'm not really, a binge kind of drinker or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I like to have a couple of beers every now and then. I like to go fishing and drink some beers, when I'm out fishing. But don't go to the bar. Did that in the past, but it's not so much fun now. I just like the taste of beer. My wife doesn't care for it though. It's an issue. And she doesn't like it when I drink, so I kind of
Even though you drink very minimal.
Yeah, she doesn't think that I'm supposed to drink any. But I drink. I don't trouble her with it. I don't. If I bring it home, I kind of hide it and sneak it around as she goes to bed. I have a beer.
So
It's
not something that has increased since this 3-month transition period.
No, when I first quit, I did have one day where I was out camping and I drank a lot of beer. But that was
But just one time.
just one
not-
time. Yeah, it was just one time, and I really didn't feel too good afterwards, so I decided that's why I don't drink that much all the time. So yeah, I just every now and then. I don't really, maybe once or twice or 3 times a month that I drink. I'm not a heavy drinker.
Okay.
I have been in the past, but I gave that up. So no, there's not been a big change in that practice.
I see. And I know this is a really powerful question, possibly, but it mentions that for suicidal thoughts, sometimes, and is that within this 3-month period, or has it been throughout your work?
Well,
Or-
just over the course of my life, there have been times that I've had those thoughts. you know, just end it. And I think that in the last 3 months I've had that thought come to my mind more than I have more, you know, in the last few years. But yeah, I've had thoughts of having, you know, ending my life. Never really, you know, I can't say that I've ever really been committed to it, but I've entertained the idea a number of times.
Do you want to tell me more about these kind of thoughts and what triggers them, maybe, if you can remember?
I don't know that I know. You know, maybe something happens at work, or, you know, just a sense of pointlessness, that there's not a lot of, you know, nothing's going to change. Life is, you know, this is it. And it's just kind of empty. I think that's more how the thought that I have is just how empty everything is, and how pointless it is to, you know, I don't always feel that way, but sometimes it comes over me. And that's when I, you know, I don't really dwell upon it, but that's when the thought does occur to me. Well, you can end it. It can end if it's so pointless, and it is. You know, you don't have to stay on that treadmill.
So kind of the treadmill analogy, you feel that you've been on the treadmill for
a long time.
For a long time.
A long time.
And
yes.
Now you're stepping off that treadmill.
I am. That's really why. Yeah, that's it. I got off the treadmill. and I didn't kill myself to do it. That's cool. So, but that's a good analogy. Just I got off the treadmill, and I hope I'm not on another treadmill. You know, what if all little treadmills are actually on one big treadmill? Oh my goodness, we'll never get on.
But going back to these thoughts, you said that sometimes when you feel that life is pointless, you tend to go in that direction.
Yeah.
And something stops you from actually following through. Do you want to tell me more about what stops you?
No, it's interesting.
Or what doesn't, what stops you before you create a plan of action?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. At some point, I just, you know, decided to go on. I guess that I don't think that it's appropriate. You know, that suicide is not really a good option. I don't think that it really is. And I don't usually give a lot of room for that thought, because I don't think that it really, and I guess one of the things that really comes to my mind is the effect that it would have on my wife and on my kids. And I think, you know, I wouldn't want to do that, because it would impact them in a negative way, I think. There are some days I think it wouldn't be so unpositive for them. But for the most part, I think, yeah, I wouldn't want to do that, you know, to them. I think that's probably what stops me more than anything, is just thinking about the impact it would have on others.
Okay. So, would you say that your thoughts are becoming more frequent since this getting off the treadmill? Would you say
No,
they're not? Okay.
no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think for the most part, I feel a little more positive about, you know, life than before. You know, there are days that I'm pretty glad to wake up. You know, and I'm feeling optimistic about, you know, hey, well, I don't know if I would ever go so far as to say, wow, it's a new day, but, you know, oddly enough, I feel like I have more reason to wake up some days now, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think that those kind of thoughts are certainly not any more frequent than they were.
Okay. 'Cause I thought you mentioned earlier that they had become more frequently since this transition.
Oh,
So
well,
that-
maybe I did. I don't really think that that's true, though.
Okay.
I don't think that I'm really having more of those thoughts.
It's just always been a thought that's been thrown out the window.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
I don't entertain it.
Okay.
I don't hang on to it very long. And a lot of times, you know, in the past when I'd have those feelings, you know, my experience was that after a couple of days or whatever, I'd feel a lot better. You know, so it kind of goes away. It ebbs and flows, and you know.
Also, I wanted to touch base on your extreme depressed mood. You marked yes. Did you want to expand on that?
Well, I think that I have been, you know, pretty depressed. I mean, as I understand it, you know, just unhappy. Not so much in this most recent thing, but you know, in the last 6 months, certainly, you know, just unhappy. It's the only way I know how to, you know, describe it. Just kind of miserable.
So some days, because you did mention that you wake up and you're ready for the day, not
Sometimes.
elated and say it's a new day, but you wake up ready, and then sometimes you have extreme depressed moods where you just can't get out of bed.
Yeah, well, not so much in the last, you know, recent
Okay.
future, or, you know, recently, but there have been days like that, you know, in my life, for days that I would, you know, want to get up.
And this has just been throughout your life, or during this transition?
No, really before I quit my job.
Really?
Yeah. Now it's more, it's more excitement and fear and terror than it is who cares, you know, but I felt that way a lot. Who cares, you know? I think I even said that a lot. Who cares?
Who cares?
Just, who cares? I mean, I don't care, you know, I've just felt that way, you know? Doesn't
Like
matter.
carefree, like happy carefree,
No,
or
no.
carefree?
Carefree, like, you know, did you ever see The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? And the robot, or if you read it, Douglas Adams, and the robot whose brain is big as a football field, he's depressed. Never mind, it was a personal joke. But
Now I'm gonna have to go watch the
yeah,
movie.
well, you should read the book, Douglas Adams, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Anyway, there's a robot in there who's depressed. I forget his name, Marvin or something like that. It's quite humorous. But it's not a carefree, it's just miserable, you know, it's a misery kind of thing. I'm just unhappy and I don't know what to do about it. I guess I've lived there a lot.
And again, it's just happened frequently, over recently.
Well, leading up to the day I quit my job, it might have. I haven't really felt that so much since I quit my job. Just more leading up to it.
So it's kind of like you were going downhill, and then you quit your job, and then maybe you're going up that hill again. Is that a good analogy for?
Well, I
how
think
you're
that
feeling?
going downhill for sure. I'm hoping that when I quit my job, I started back up. Some days I'm optimistic that that's true. Yeah, but the slow decline, that's me.
But then you've slowly started going on an incline rather than a decline.
I hope.
Right.
I hope. I'm not confident in that assessment.
Right. So confidence is this a theme that occurs throughout your life?
Maybe, perhaps, yeah. I'm not confident that it is, or that it isn't. Yeah, perhaps it is.
So confidence.
I don't know, I haven't really thought about that.
And in your job, tell me if I'm getting this wrong, but in your job when you saw other people going above you, do you think that made your confidence decrease?
Well, sure.
In a sense?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. It certainly did. Yeah, my confidence in my competence at the workplace certainly took a hit every time somebody in my work group got promoted and I did not. Sure, I took a hit.
That's gotta be tough to be working and see other people move up over yourself.
Yeah, it is. Then I think, well, I made good money, had good benefits. Don't have them anymore. But yeah, what do you need? I mean, what's that all about anyway? So what if you get a, more important job, more responsibility, better office, what? Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
What are you working for anyway? 30, 40
So,
years?
Yeah, and I see how this carefree attitude, I just don't know how to take it as carefree as in you're ready for the next move, or carefree as in life's gonna just happen, whether you're ready for it or not.
Well, it is. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I hadn't really tried to think about it in those terms. I think it, more than anything, I'm more resigned to, life's gonna happen, whatever. There's not much I can do about it, So, here we are, we're stuck for, 70 years, 80 years, and then we go somewhere else. It's a pretty dismal outlook, isn't it?
But it makes sense. Do you want to tell me more? Do you want to reflect back to maybe your earlier years when you were in school or prior to this job, how your self-confidence played a role in anything?
Well, I don't know. I had a good time. I mean, I was with my friends, and we did a lot of partying and made okay grades. Didn't have to study a whole lot. Made it through school fine, and those were good days. Those were fun days, and we played sports, And that was all good. And I guess I was more confident that things were gonna turn out better than they did. But what did I know? Nothing, that's what I decided, nothing. You know, I was optimistic because I didn't know life. So, but yeah, I was more confident back then and enjoyed my life a lot more. At some point, it became disappointing, I think.
Mhm.
There's that doorbell again.
Yeah, it possibly is the
Oh, it's the phone.
telephone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it solves
someone's calling, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, it seems to me, I'm trying to put a mental picture into your life building up to this job.
Okay.
And it really sounds to me like your self-confidence was, you were optimistic, you were ready for the world, and then maybe you just got comfortable in this job. And
Well, I think that that's true. There was a point that I was comfortable. This is. But then I don't know. There's a point where you just wonder, why are you? I mean, is this what life amounts to? You go work for the state government, and then you get old and useless, and you just die.
And so,
What's up with that?
That's what brings you back to school, is you kind of took that action and said, I'm done with trying to just be on this treadmill and keep going with the motions.
Sure.
And then you're taking a bold act.
That's part of it, yeah. That's part of it. That there's got to be more to life than just going, working out eking out a living, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Is, going through the motions here, having a house and picket fence and the kids and, 18 cars or whatever. So why, there's got to be more to what the end of my life amounts to than just a vocation that I, was occupied with for 40 years.
Oh, wow.
I'm hoping.
It sounds like you are searching for something more.
Sure.
But I can sense how that self-confidence that developed when you went from right out of school into that job.
Well,
I can see how.
There was a path. There was a path to follow, and now there's not a path to follow. That's
Yeah.
why I guess maybe you pick up on the confidence thing. I don't really know. Yeah, I'm not real confident because I don't know really what the next step is. I don't know where we're going from here.
Mm-hmm.
We're going somewhere different.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds to me, through your spirit and your lively spirit, that you were ready for this, and quite a few years ago you were ready for this step.
Yeah,
And-
probably.
And then now you're taking it, and you think it's too late, and
Well, that's part of it. I think, well, okay, I should have jumped. So it's good that I jumped, but I should have jumped way back here. That really troubles me, Then I've been climbing a ladder and I find out it's leaning against the wrong wall.
it's a good way of putting it.
So, but if I climb this ladder now and it's the wrong wall too,
So because you had been, I'm going to use your analogy, because you've been climbing this ladder to this wall for so long and you just feel it wasn't your fit, now you're timid to take a step on this ladder, and you're going inch by inch because you're timid that it's going to be just like how it was.
That may be. Maybe that is. Maybe there is some timidity. And that's certainly true that there's some apprehension that, all that I hope will be, in this course this path. You know, maybe it won't, you know, really can't say, but I'm hoping that it is. I guess my experience kind of raises the question. You know, my experience is that, you know, things aren't so good as you hope they would be as you get further down the path. Yeah, I think that's probably my view of life. Why does that bell go off every time I say that?
It's reassuring you. Yes, go with that thought.
I feel better.
I think it is the phone though.
I do too.
So it looks like we have about 8 more minutes. And since we kind of dug into your self-confidence a bit, I guess maybe that's what we want to conclude on.
Okay.
Let's see. Is there anything else we didn't touch base with today, or?
No, you know, I think that's pretty much, I think we talked about a lot actually. Yeah, and I mean, that's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
That pretty much captures the, you know, the tension that I'm having in my life is,
Mm-hmm.
you know, all of those things, and coming to this point in my life and wanting to make a change. Just, you know, is this the right time? Is this the right direction?
So a lot of maybe doubts. I'm sensing a little bit of doubt there.
A lot of doubt.
A lot of doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I mentioned previously, you were on this treadmill for so long. And stepping up is it. I can only imagine how tough that is.
Yeah, I think that is a good summation of it. That there was comfort in the sense, although it was drudgery.
Mm-hmm.